first time doing these jokes, not on a Zoom. So if I bomb, I'm just going to tell myself and possibly a future therapist that you're all on mute. My wife and I work in mental health services. We try to use the same strategies on our kids, and it just doesn't work. They are too smart, and they have the ignorance and strong will of a QAnon truther. A popular one is reverse psychology. I bet there's no way you can eat all those green beans. My kids just sniff it out and turn it around on me instantly. Well, Dad, you're the vegetarian. I bet you'd hate it if all these green beans went in the trash. And I say, hey, those green beans died so that we could live, to myself, while eating those trash beans in secret. We try to help them when they're in a panic by giving them de-escalating strategies. The issue, though, is that de-escalating strategies require that the problem comes from a logical place. My kids are in a panic. They lock in on the illogical, like Alberta's coal policy. And they're products of our current climate, where all societal constructs are being challenged regularly. If I ask them to count 5 things that are blue in the room to help them calm down, they say, what even is blue? And if I dare suggest something I think is blue, I get dragged for it. Well, that couch is blue. I'm sorry, Dad. Did you just try to assume that couch is color? Now, I should also mention these kids are aggressively weird. And you should know that having a weird kid is not as special as it seems in the movies. We've all been tricked by big rom-com to believe that having a weird kid would be inherently charming. And you've seen them in these movies too. Glasses too big for their face, a Halloween costume 365 days a year, saying things like, did you know the human head weighs 8 pounds? Charming, right? How about a kid who consistently gets hour-long panic attacks because they don't like the feeling of their eyelids on their eyeballs? This is the same kid who wakes up night after night, mid-night terror, screaming out a single, no! You see this beard? It was a majestic chestnut color just a few years ago. And worse yet, if these kids happen to sleep through the night, they lurk in the darkness watching you sleep like tiny little murderers. If they have a question, they only speak in 2 volumes. One, a shrill pitch that cuts through the night like a machete through tissue paper, or a whisper they deliver to your open, sleeping mouth. Do you know what it's like to wake up to having sour kid breath pushed in your mouth? Don't they know how ears work? And I try to rein in their manic energy with things that all kids do, like the floor is lava. I mean, they're bouncing off all over the furniture anyway. Why not designate those as safe spaces? The main difference with their version, the thing they're most afraid of touching, is the mere concept of silence. And the weirdness doesn't stop there. My son has been cursed with my thick jeans. From the front, he looks like a regular 6-year-old boy, but from behind, Cardi B. Now, it probably won't surprise you to hear that I was a heavyset kid growing up. These curves for pervs did not happen overnight. I was not enormous by any stretch, but it definitely looked like my body was having an allergic reaction to my skeleton. And my parents did everything they could to help insulate me from any criticism about my weight by using safe language when discussing it. So much so that I would argue that only Pornhub has more references to Big Bone. And I desperately pleaded for clothing options that weren't so critically dependent on elastic waistbands. And when I hit elementary school, I learned that those kids can wield shades like a Red Seal drag queen. Have you ever been ironically called slim? That shit hurts in layers. It's a tiramisu of sadness. My mom finally relented and took me shopping to Zeller's for some new clothes. And as we were speeding past the kids section, I asked where we were going. And my mom said, we're going to where the husky clothes are. And I said, adorably, husky, but I'm not a dog. My mom smiled, leaned down, and squeezed my 2 little icing bag-esque shoulders very tightly and said, no, Andy. Husky means that you are too fat for kids' clothes and not fat enough for adult clothes. And with that, my tiny little engorged heart broke into bacon bits. Thank you so much. I've been Andy. You've been great. Have a great day.